Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Claire and for this video I'm going to be doing some book recommendations for the middle grade magic readathon. So hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm Claire from Claire's Creative Corner, and for this video I'm going to be doing some book recommendations for my team for the middle grade magic readathon. If you don't know what the middle grade magic readathon is about, I'll leave the announcement video in the box down below, but essentially it is a readathon where we have 6 different teams, all Disney Kingdom themed. Each of them has a co-host, and we have 5 reading prompts and 1 song prompt, and the idea is to read a lot of middle grade or anything you want really. You get extra points for middle grade and you get some extra points for some other prompts as well. So, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be sharing the prompts for my team, which is Team Mount Olympus.
Oh, Hercules, Hercules, Hercules!
It's obviously based from Hercules, and I'm going to be giving you some book recommendations that you might maybe want to pick for the readathon. There might be some books that I haven't read that I've heard are really good, so I'll be recommending them as well. You can also double up and triple up on prompts, so I've tried to find some books that you can do that as well with them. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started with the Team Mount Olympus prompts. So just a reminder for the prompts, we have 5 reading prompts and we have 1 song pick, so I'll just go through the prompts again. I'll leave the graphic up here. I want to thank Amanda, who's one of the co-hosts for one of the other teams, for making the graphics. They look absolutely brilliant, so I want to say thank you to her. So to go through each of the prompts, first off we have a book with mythology. We have next up a book with adventure. Next up is a shiny book, a book with gods, and the last prompt is a book with death or war. As you can see, our song pick will be 0 to hero, so you will get extra points if you listen to the song. Okay, to start off with, I'm going to be recommending one of the most popular middle grade mythology series. I think any of this author's books would work for this prompt, but I'm going to start off with the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. I'll put a picture up of the first book, which is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I'm currently in the middle of reading the first part of the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, but so far it's been really fun. They're such great books. So if you probably already know what Percy Jackson is about, but if you've never heard of it before, I'll give you a brief synopsis of it. So we follow the main character, Percy Jackson. He thinks he's just an ordinary boy. He gets in trouble quite a lot. He's been kicked out of a lot of schools, and it turns out he finds out that he's actually a demigod, and there's a lot of people after him, and he ends up getting to go to Camp Half-Blood, which is this camp for a lot of other children that are demigods, that allow them to train and develop their abilities. And he makes some friends while he's there, Grover and Annabeth, and they're a little found family, and they get up to a lot of stuff together, and it's just really nice to see that. And the plot for the Lightning Thief is that Zeus's lightning bolt has been stolen, and everything seems to point to Percy, and everybody thinks that he did it. So a lot of gods are after him to try and find Zeus's lightning bolt, so Percy has to try and figure out who actually stole the lightning bolt, and it kind of just goes from there. There's such really great books. Rick Riordan's writing is just, I think it's really accessible, and there's such quick reads, and there's also really good disability rep, as Percy has ADHD, so I think that that's great for kids that have got the same condition that they can relate to. So, and I'm definitely really excited because the new Disney Plus adaptation will be coming out, I think, later on this year, so I definitely want to finish off the Percy Jackson series to be caught up so I can watch the new series. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. So yeah, Percy Jackson, anything by Rick Riordan you can use for the mythology prompt. He's got obviously the Greek mythology, he's also got a Norse mythology series and Egyptian mythology series as well, so any of Rick Riordan's books you can use for that prompt. Okay, so next up, another really well-known author for Greek mythology is, of course, Madeline Miller. I've got 2 books from her that I want to recommend to you. I just love Madeline Miller's writing. It's just absolutely beautiful lyrical writing, and the way that she takes, she puts like a new kind of hard twist on the Greek myths. I really enjoy reading them. So the first one I'm going to recommend is probably one of the most popular ones, is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is a look at Achilles and Patroclus from the Trojan War, and it's basically their relationship base. So it starts off with Patroclus being sent to live at the same place as Achilles, and they meet, and it quickly becomes a friendship, and then it quickly develops into something more, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And obviously you've got the backdrop of the Trojan War, and if you know your Greek myth history, you know obviously what happens at the end for Achilles. That's not a spoiler at all, but yeah, it's definitely quite a tearjerker, this one. I would definitely recommend the tissues for this one. It is, like, towards the end it is a little bit heavier, but the story is just absolutely beautiful, and I would 100% recommend The Song of Achilles. I think it's definitely a good one to start off with if you want to get into Greek mythology, because it's not, I don't think it's too complicated, and there's obviously some other characters from the Trojan War as well, and yeah, The Song of Achilles I would 100% recommend, and it's definitely a perfect fit for the Greek mythology prompt. And then the other Madeline Miller book that I have is obviously another well-known one, which is Circe by Madeline Miller. This cover is just absolutely gorgeous, and it would also fit one of the other prompts as well, which I'll get to later, but it's got a gorgeous map in here, and then underneath the dust jacket it looks like this. So this is definitely one of the more beautiful books that I own. But this obviously follows the main character, Circe, and who is the daughter of Helios. And Circe, she's, I would say, like a witch kind of character. She does something which involves a lot of dark magic, and she ends up getting banished to this island to spend her days forever. And it's like she watches the humankind go by on their boats, and it's just about her journey. And yeah, it's definitely the Madeline Miller's writing in this is just absolutely beautiful, and yeah, I would definitely recommend both Circe and The Song of Achilles for the mythology prompt. Okay, and so just to break it up a little bit, I've got another book by another well-known author, Catherine Arden. So I have the Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden. This is The Bear and the Nightingale, which is the first book. The Winter Night trilogy focuses on Russian mythology, so if you're not really into Greek mythology and wanting to try something a little bit different, I would definitely recommend the Winter Night trilogy. Catherine Arden's writing this is beautiful, lyrical as well, and it takes like a historical, this is more of like a historical fantasy, I would say, and we follow the main character Vasa. She lives in the wilderness of northern Russia, and in her town there's a lot of like spirits and things like that she can communicate with. But then this priest character comes to the town and deems like the spirits evil, and tries to kind of brainwash Vasa's town into believing in like Christianity, and believing different gods, and yeah, it's like it's basically like the church trying to stamp out the magic, and like how these spirits that have been around for generations of Vasa has to try and stop the church from coming in and destroying the spirits. And she also has a stepmother who's just horrible to her in this, and it's like, yeah, it's definitely, there's some heavier topics in this one, but it's just really, really beautiful, and I definitely would recommend the Winter Night trilogy. Okay, so next up, another author I've been enjoying reading their Greek mythology books recently is Jennifer Saint. She normally writes Greek mythology books from a female perspective, so a lot of her the characters are women in Greek mythology, which I definitely appreciate, because we never normally get to see a female perspective in Greek mythology, because it's always a male perspective, so that's really, really refreshing to see. I do have all of her books currently out, but I want to show you her most recent one. So I have Atalanta by Jennifer Saint. Jennifer Saint's covers on her books are always absolutely gorgeous, and this would also work for one of the later prompts, which I'll talk to you about in a little bit. But yeah, honestly, her books are always just absolutely gorgeous, and these end papers are just absolutely stunning. So yeah, Atalanta follows the mesmerising story of the only female Argonaut told by Jennifer Saint, the best-selling author of Electra and Ariadne, which are her other two books, which I've read, and I really, really enjoyed them. I definitely think Jennifer Saint's writing is really accessible, and the stories aren't like too complicated to get into. I fell into understanding what was going on quite quickly. So Ariadne, Jennifer Saint. I would also maybe recommend Natalie Haynes. She does a similar thing. She writes the Greek myths from a female perspective. I've got her new one, Stone Blind, which is the one about Medusa, so I want to maybe get to that one as well. So yeah, Jennifer Saint, I would definitely recommend their books for the mythology prompt. Okay, and for my last recommendation for the mythology prompt, I wanted to share with you something that's maybe a little bit different, a different format of reading the Greek myths. So this has definitely been everywhere at the moment. It's Lord Olympus by Rachel Smythe. Rachel Smythe. Apologies, Rachel, for pronouncing that wrong. You're probably not watching this, but anyway. But yeah, Lord Olympus. This is definitely a new recent favourite of mine. It is Greek mythology, which is a retelling of Hades and Persephone. There's obviously romance in here, and it's all done in like a graphic novel format, and the artwork is just absolutely beautiful, and I absolutely love it. It's it's like a lot of the Greek gods set in like a more modern setting, and it's just basically a retelling of Hades and Persephone. It's just absolutely beautiful. I would definitely check the trigger warnings, because there are maybe a couple of trigger warnings, such as but Rachel Smythe does put a contents warning at the start of each of the novels, which is really, really handy to have, I would say. But yeah, there are some obviously trigger warnings. Physical, mental abuse, sexual trauma and toxic relationships, so do be wary going in if those are triggers for you. But yeah, I definitely think if this is a bit more of an accessible way to read the Greek myths, you can also read it online on Webtoon, but I prefer having the actual physical copies because they're absolutely beautiful. So yeah, that's all of my recommendations for the mythology prompt. Okay, so we'll move on to prompt number 2, which is a book with adventure. I've actually got 3 middle grade recommendations that I wanted to share with you. I think middle grade will probably work the best for the adventure prompt, because a lot of middle grades have adventure themes in them. So I'm going to show you my 3 middle grade recommendations for that prompt. So to start off with, and probably one of my favourite middle grade series I've ever read, is Frost Heart by Jamie Littler. I absolutely adore his book covers. They're just absolutely beautiful, and they're like a French kind of window opening onto, absolutely gorgeous. And Jamie does, the author, he does all the illustrations himself, and it's just filled with gorgeous illustrations. Let me find one of the big page ones. Like, how stunning is that? And it gives you, I think, definitely more of an enjoyable reading experience. But if you haven't read Frost Heart, where have you been? It's been everywhere. Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin, this is one of his favourite middle grade series of all time, and this is where I got the recommendation from him. So I'll leave Gavin's channel in the box below if you want to check out. He's got a lot of middle grade recommendations videos. So yeah, Frost Heart, we followed our main character Ash, and he lives in like a stronghold where it's a lot of like snow. It's like a snowy wasteland, and it turns out he discovers that he's a song weaver, and he can control magic through song. Yeah, so he can control magic through song, and there are these big leviathan creatures that are able to be respond to this magic, but in his town song weavers are forbidden, and so he ends up being banished from the town. And so his backstory is his parents abandoned him to go on a seafaring adventure, and they never came back home, so he's always wondered what happened to his parents. So he comes across a crew of the ship called the Frost Heart, and he ends up joining the crew. He's got a Yeti companion called Tobu, and yeah, they've got quite a funny relationship. It's really funny to read, and he ends up joining the crew of the Frost Heart, and makes a friend there called Luna, and it's just a lot of seafaring, and he tries to find out what happened to his parents. So yeah, Frost Heart, I would definitely recommend this series. I'm definitely really excited for Jamie Litter's new release, Arcspire, which I got recently, so I want to maybe try and get to that in August. But yeah, Frost Heart, I would definitely recommend this one. Okay, so next up, another middle grade that I recently read a couple of years ago that I really enjoyed and would definitely fit for the adventure prompt is The Ship of Shadows by Maria Kuzniar. It's definitely, I think, if you love Pirates of the Caribbean, it's a lot of seafaring, pirates, it's definitely a lot of fun, and I just love the cover for this. It's absolutely stunning, and it's also got like a window with a full page illustration, which is absolutely stunning. So Ship of Shadows, it follows our main character Aaliyah, and she's always wanted to go see the world, have adventures, and one day she discovers this ship in her harbour called the Ship of Shadows, and it's a pirate crew, but all the pirate crews are women, which I absolutely love. I think it's great to see pirates being a female pirate crew, because you don't get to see that very often, and it's they go on a lot of adventures, and they're trying to find pieces of this map to put together, and it's just, yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. If you like The Ship of Shadows, I would definitely recommend the Secret to the Stars, which is book 2. Gavin did an interview with Maria Kuzniar on his channel, so I'll leave a link to that below if you want to go and check that out. But yeah, Ship of Shadows is definitely a lot of fun. If you love Pirates of the Caribbean, I would definitely recommend this one. Okay guys, and then my last middle grade recommendation for the adventure prompt is definitely another very popular middle grade. It is the Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. I read this last year and I absolutely just fell in love with the world, the characters. It's just a lot of fun. So in Nevermore we follow the main character Morgan Crow, and she's cursed to die on her 11th birthday, but as the clock strikes midnight, she's whisked away by a remarkable man called Juniper North and taken to the secret city of Nevermore. There she's invited to join the Wondrous Society. Mystery, magic, protection are hers if she can only pass 4 impossible trials using an exceptional talent which she doesn't have. So yeah, I definitely think it's a lot of fun for this one. I would also recommend books 2 and 3, which are Wondersmith and Hollowpox. And then there is Silverborn, which is the book number 4. So, but that is just that it just keeps getting delayed. So I don't know when that'll come out. Possibly next year. It's been delayed so many times. But yeah, I definitely think Nevermore. I think it's definitely maybe a good middle grade to start with if you want to maybe try and get into middle grade. It's definitely a lot of fun. There's quick reads, and I love the page headings. I've got some really cute illustrations on them which are really cute. But yeah, Nevermore, and that is my recommendations for prompt number 2, which is a book with adventure. Okay, so I'll move on to prompt number 3, which is to read a shiny book. Now this can be a book that has a foiling on the cover, it can have shiny writing, anything that gives it like a shiny look you can use for the prompt. So as I've already mentioned, I showed up Cersei and Atalanta, so they've got like foiling on the cover, so you can use that, but I want to show you some different books I have that have got like foiling on the cover. So my first one that I wanted to share with you, which I'm absolutely so excited for, is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. This is the stunning Fairy Loot edition, and it's just foiled everywhere. It's just absolutely stunning, like on the spine, and then the gorgeous sprayed edges, and underneath the dust jacket. Oh, it's even got like foiling on the end papers as well, which is just absolutely stunning. It's just foiled everywhere, and then underneath the dust jacket there's even more foiling. I think this is definitely one of the most beautiful books I've ever owned. Like, look at that. It's just absolutely stunning. Now, if you don't know Shannon Chakraborty, she also wrote the David Bad trilogy, which I absolutely adored, so I'm definitely excited to try her new release, which I think is set in the same world as the David Bad trilogy, but this one follows pirates, similar to like Ship of Shadows. I've definitely been in like a pirate mood. So, a pirate of infamy and one of the most storied and scandalous captains ever to sail the seven seas. So we follow the main character, Amina, who's an older character, which I definitely appreciate, and she was one of the most like famous pirates in her in this world, and she gets opportunity to do like a one final kind of job to help save a friend's daughter who's been kidnapped. So she has to try and go back and find her crew and get her ship back, and it's a lot of seafaring, and yeah, so I don't want to know too much about it going in, but yeah, Mina Al-Sarafi would definitely work for this prompt, because it's just all over foiled, to be honest. So yeah, I'm definitely really excited for this one. Okay, and my other recommendation for a book with a shiny cover is, I got this one recently as well, which is Lies We Sang to the Sea by Sarah Underwood. Now this is just all over foil. This is just absolutely stunning, which this is the Illumicray edition. This is another Greek myth retelling, so you could use it for the Greek myths, the mythology prompt as well if you want to double up. So I don't want to know too much about this one going into it, but the little blurb says death was only the start of her story. So yeah, in the cursed kingdom of Ithaca, each summer brings the hanging of 12 maidens, a gift to the vengeful Poseidon. For 17 years Leto has escaped the curse's mark until now. So yeah, I definitely think, yeah, this is another Greek myth retelling, and it's also got foiling on the end papers as well. So yeah, I definitely love all the shiny books. So yeah, Lies Sing to the Sea would work really well for the shiny prompt as well. Okay guys, so prompt number 4 is to read a book that has gods. Now I've shown a couple of recommendations in the mythology for the mythology prompt. A lot of the Greek mythology ones have gods in them, so all those books that I shared earlier on you can use for that prompt, but I wanted to share some other recommendations for that prompt as well. So I'll leave a picture up here for this one. So the first recommendation is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio. This is a Korean mythology, I think, as well, so you could use that for the mythology prompt as well. So it's a Korean mythology story, and we follow the main character. Her brother's love is about to be sacrificed to the sea gods. In this world, the town gets hit by fierce storms that nearly wipe the town out. So as a sacrifice, they offer up like the most beautiful maiden up to the sea gods in the hope that the storms will subside. But the main character goes in his brother's love's place. She throws herself into the sea for the gods, and she gets taken down to the spirit world, and it's she tries to figure out what's going on, and there's a lot of obviously the sea gods in there, and I definitely recommend The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. It's definitely like quite a good summer read, and it would also work for one of the other prompts for Team Atlantica, a book with water on the cover, the sea. So yeah, The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea is definitely a good pick for that one. Okay, and my next and last pick for that prompt, I'm kind of bending it slightly, but I'm going to recommend The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This is the first book in the Poppy War trilogy, and I absolutely adore this series. So we follow the main character Rin, and yep, she's a peasant, she's a student, she's a soldier, she's a goddess. So we follow Rin, who comes from like a poor background, and she gets enlisted into this elite academy school. It follows Chinese war mythology, and it's definitely quite a heavy book, so there are a lot of trigger warnings in here, so I would recommend looking up a list of trigger warnings, because there's a lot of quite heavy stuff in here. But yeah, I would kind of bend it a bit, I think, for the gods prompt, because Rin discovers that she's a shaman and she can summon up like spirits and gods, but the one that she summons up in here is quite a nasty spirit, and it just totally consumes her. And yeah, the Poppy War, I would definitely recommend, like the whole series in general. It's a 5-star for me. Like any of the books would work for the God's prompt, but the Poppy War I would definitely recommend for that prompt. Okay guys, and we finally reached our last prompt, which is a book with death or war. I didn't realise how many books I actually owned that have death in them, so I don't know what that says about me.
She's our friend and she's crazy!
But yeah, I want to quickly share with you a middle grade recommendation that I recently read that has themes of death in it, and it probably doesn't sound like it, but it is the Secret Sunshine Project by Benjamin Dean. We follow two sisters, and their dad has passed away. It also deals with death, and the family used to go to Pride every year. The sisters come out as gay, and it used to be quite a big event for them, but since their dad has passed away, the older sister, her personality totally changed, and she's really sad a lot of the time. So her younger sister, they go to stay with her gran for the summer, and in the local town nothing much happens, and so she decides to set up a Pride event to help her sister get back to feeling the way that she was, and to obviously celebrate Pride and their dad, and just to take them back to that happy time for the family. And I really enjoyed it. It's such a quick read, and it would definitely get you middle grade extra prompts, LGBTQ extra prompts, POC author extra prompts. I read it in one sitting, so you could probably get extra points for that one as well. So Secret Sunshine Project I would definitely recommend for that. Okay, so my next recommendation is definitely a new favourite author of mine, and it is Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. So we follow our main character, who, a man who lives to help the dead meets a man who died, then learns how to live. So we follow Wallace, who at the beginning of the book, he's not a very nice person. He's quite horrible to his staff, and something happens at the start of the book where he dies, and he, for some reason, he is able to attend his own funeral, and he's shocked at, like, there's not a lot of people that have turned up to his funeral. And then there's a Reaper character that comes up to collect him, and obviously he's not too happy about that, and he gets taken to Charing Cross, where he meets Hugo, and he's the owner of this tea shop at Charing Cross, and it's just a really, really sweet LGBTQ book as well. And he learns a lot more about himself, and it's just really, I don't want to go into it too much also for spoilers, but this definitely deals with death quite heavily and grief, so if they are triggers for you, I would be a bit wary of this book as well. But yeah, Under the Whispering Door is definitely a new favourite of mine. Okay, so a book that is currently on my TBR that I'm going to be reading in this month is Belladonna by Aslan Grace. Death is actually a main character in the book, so this would count for this prompt. So the main character, I don't know, there is possibly a love triangle. Yeah, there's a love triangle between the two, like, human male main characters, and death is in there as well. Belladonna brings to life a highly romantic, gothic, confused world of wealth, desire and betrayal. So yeah, if you're wanting something a bit more on the spooky gothic side, I think Belladonna would work for that prompt, and I'm hoping to get to it this month. So this is the gorgeous Fairy Loot edition. I'm absolutely obsessed with this cover. Okay, so next up, probably one of my all-time favourite series, which is, it definitely was a shock to me how much I enjoyed this book, because it's a dystopian, which I never normally read, but this whole series is just so good. So it is Scythe by Neil Schusterman. Yeah, it's a dystopian world where scythes are, they get targets to kill people. Yep, in a perfect world, the only way to die is to be gleaned by a professional scythe. When Citra and Rowan are chosen to be apprentice scythes, they know they have no option but to learn the art of killing. However, the terrifying responsibility of choosing their victims is just the start. Corruption is the order of the day, and Citra and Rowan need to stick together to fight it. Then they are told that one of them will have to glean the other. So yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot of good stuff in this, and I think I'm definitely due a reread of this because it's been a while since I've read it. But yes, Scythe, there's also a lot of death, killing in this world, but yeah, I would definitely recommend this series. So the whole series in general is really, really, really good. Okay guys, and then my last recommendation for this video, if you want something that's a little bit darker, a little bit scarier, Grady Hendrix is definitely a new favourite author for me. I've gotten into his books a lot more recently. I think any of his books feature death in them, so you could definitely use it. But my favourite one that I read recently is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. So we follow in this one a brother and sister, Louise and Mark, and their parents have tragically died, and they need to go back to their childhood home to sell the house. But it turns out that their mum had an obsession with porcelain dolls and puppets that she made in this house. Louise and Mark, they're a brother and sister that don't get on. Mark, he's basically out of a lot of jobs, he's always drinking all the time, and Louise is just absolutely sick of him and doesn't want to go back to help sell the house because obviously he's there. But it turns out that the house doesn't really want to be sold, and there's a lot of creepy stuff with the dolls and puppets that goes on. So if that's maybe a trigger for you, maybe I wouldn't recommend picking it up, but it's definitely such a spooky thriller, horror. There's a particular puppet in there that I won't go into for spoilers, but he definitely gave me the creeps. Yeah, some houses don't want to be sold, and their home has other plans for both of them. So yeah, How to Sell a Haunted House, I would definitely recommend. I would also recommend The Final Girl support group. There's a lot of murder in that. It's a support group where final girls at the end of massacres that deals with death, and they're getting picked up one by one. My best friend's exorcism, that kind of deals with death, you could bend it, I would say. But yeah, Grady Hendrix is definitely a new favourite author for me. So yeah, I think that's the last prompt recommendation for that prompt. Okay guys, so that is all the books that I want to recommend for my Team Mental Olympus. If you guys have got any recommendations for me, let me know. I think there's a lot of definitely mental grade books kids recommended, but I didn't have the time to go through each and every one because I would have been sitting here for hours. But yeah, any recommendations that you have for any of the prompts, let me know. Let me know if you are taking part in the readathon, which team you're on, which books that you're going to pick up for the readathon. I'll leave all the readathon details in the box below. I'll leave a sign up form if you want to take part in it. I'll leave all the channels that I've mentioned in the box below. So yeah, I hope that you're gonna take part in the readathon, join Team Mental Olympus, and I'll see you all in my next video.